Hello everyone and welcome back to another Will Cinematics video. Today I will be reviewing Disney's Snow White from 1937. We start off the movie with one of the best Disney villains of all time, the Evil Queen, played by Lucille Laverne. The Evil Queen starts by summoning the magic mirror with her airbending. The magic mirror tells her Snow White is the fairest of them all, and she gets super jealous.
To say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never.
Then we cut to Snow White, played by Adriana Caselotti, cleaning the castle. I have to say, she and Cinderella be vibin', though, with those massive maid clogs. Because she's a princess, Snow White just randomly starts singing about wishing wells. Now the prince, played by Harry Stockwell, shows up, climbs the fence, and starts a conversation with her. Like, you can't tell me that isn't creepy. Before we keep going, I need to say something that some of you might find shocking. Snow White is 14 years old and the prince is 31. So Snow White freaks out and runs inside like any reasonable person. Then the prince leaves. We cut back to the Evil Queen and she's devising her first of many failed evil plans. She asks the huntsman to kill Snow White. Here, we see why she is called the Evil Queen. Every single other villain after her is so much weaker in comparison. If you look at Sleeping Beauty, for example, Maleficent didn't even wish Aurora dead or put a spell on her. She had this whole elaborate plan with spinning wheels and 16th birthday and all this other nonsense, and it didn't even end up working. This is why I have to say I love the Evil Queen, even though I hate this movie. At least at the start of the movie, she's very straightforward with her plan. Not only that, but she wants the huntsman to bring her a 14-year-old girl's heart. What is she gonna do with it?
Only one thing worse than a rapist. Boom. A child. No.
Because I was so confused, I decided to consult my sister. She said the Evil Queen would, and I quote, rejoice. Then we cut to Snow White picking flowers with the huntsman. So in one of the darkest Disney scenes of all time, the huntsman is about to stab Snow White. But instead of stabbing her, he tells her that he can't do it and that she should run away.
I can't do it.
So she runs off into the woods. I have to say, Snow White running through the woods is one of the coolest animated Disney scenes. For the sake of the movie, this is one of the dumbest parts. This 14-year-old girl is scared of trees. But yeah, I love the animation and the layers, and the use of dark colors are quite interesting. I'm sure many kids growing up in 1937 found this scene to be quite scary. Now, back to the movie. Snow White basically falls to her death, and thank God she caught that vine. Now, I do have to say, Snow White is one of the most naive and innocent Disney princesses of all time. She's scared of trees. That's why her inevitable marriage to the prince is so gross. Then she manages to get herself to a clearing, and all these animals approach her. Now here we see Snow White say, I think her 5th unsung line of the movie. Yes, she never speaks. 2 lines later, she goes right back to singing. After her song, the woodland creatures lead her to the dwarf's house. Now, in one of the most controversial scenes of the movie, Snow White breaks and enters the dwarf's house and cleans the house with the help of a bunch of feral wild animals. Now, during the cleaning, we get another song called A Whistle While You Work. After the scene, we cut to the dwarves in the mine singing Hi-Ho as they dig. The 7 dwarves are Grumpy, Dopey, Doc, Happy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Sleepy. When they arrive home, they find Snow White sleeping in 3 of their beds at once. Snow White wakes up and meets all the dwarves. Then there's a whole song about washing your hands before you eat. After this, we cut back to the queen. She asks the mirror again, and he responds with, Snow White is the fairest of them all. Then she goes into a jealous rage now that she's figured out that Snow White is still alive. She storms downstairs in one of the most memorable scenes. She decides to go in a disguise to the cottage. She uses her airbending powers once again and turns into this. We cut back to the cottage, and there we see the dwarves sing a completely pointless song titled The Silly Song, which leads us nowhere in the plot. Which transitions into yet another song, Someday My Prince Will Come. Jeez, this movie should be called an opera. It has so many songs. Not like this movie could get any more problematic than it already is, but then Snow White prays to God about finding her prince. Then we cut back yet again, God, so many cuts, to the Evil Queen. She takes her poison apples and yeets across the moat like the Grim Reaper. The next morning, we see the dwarves leave for work. They tell her not once, but 500 times not to let anyone in. Even after an additional warning from like birds and like woodland creatures, she still lets the evil queen into the house. The evil queen tricks her into thinking the apple that she brought with her is a wishing apple, and her naive little self believes her and eats it. And then she quote-unquote dies. Then the animals run to warn the dwarves, and they come to her protection. It starts to rain as the dwarves chase the evil queen, and she climbs up to the top of a mountain. She tries to push a boulder down, and right before she succeeds, lightning strikes and she falls to her death. This is one of the darkest Disney villain deaths of all time, and began the trend of Disney villains falling to their death. The dwarves, thinking Snow White is dead, put her in a coffin out in the woods. Months go by, and the prince finds said coffin in the woods. Now, it's safe to assume that the prince thinks she's dead like everyone else. So not only is he a creepy stalker, but he's also into necrophilia. He kissed a dead girl. Thank God, she wakes up and they ride away to the prince's castle. They get married without even knowing each other's names. And that's the end of the movie. This movie is sick. Like, I love it, but I also hate it. It's definitely dated, so this level of nastiness makes sense, but I think people in the 30s knew that a 14-year-old cannot be with a 31-year-old. Like, who okayed that? I do have to say, Snow White is a very charming character that can bring a smile to anyone's face, but that still doesn't mean the movie is good. For Disney movies, I will rate by main character, supporting characters, love interests, songs, endings, villains, score, and lastly, animation. I'll give this movie a 4 out of 10 for main character. She's like half good and half annoying. 6 out of 10 for supporting characters. The dwarves and woodland creatures are quite cute and quite creative. Negative 10 out of 10 for love interest, because you know why. 1 out of 10 for songs, because everything about them, from their lyrics to the quality of singing, is pretty horrendous. 6 out of 10 for ending, because of the evil queen's death, but I did have to get rid of some points because of the last scene with the prince. 9 out of 10 for villains. The evil queen is exactly what I want out of a Disney villain. Terrifying, formidable, super jealous, super petty, and wearing amazing outfits. I give this movie an 8 out of 10 for animation because this movie broke 4 fronts in animation. The scene in the woods gives this movie a lot of extra points. And that brings me to a total score of about 5.5 out of 10. That's my review. If you've never seen Snow White, I suggest watching it. Even though it has its flaws, it's still something you should consider watching. Let me know what you guys think about my review. I want to thank you guys for watching, and please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos.